It is only a transition to a different sphere of consciousness. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. She is a living presence in their spiritual earthbound plane.
Hello and welcome to the Talking to the Dead podcast. This week is not going to be a normal podcast because I just want to let you know something really exciting. I have been asked by one of my listeners if I would put the podcast and the lessons learned into book form. Well, that's something I've been working on for the last few weeks, and due to the marvels of modern AI and everything else, which enables you to transcribe what you say into written word, I managed to get it transcribed into a book form. It's not quite as simple as that, because then you have to go through the manuscript that you write and it has to be corrected and proofed. So it does take quite a long time and quite a lot of effort, but it's certainly cheaper and easier than having to sit at a keyboard and write down every single word. So what I've done so far is take up to, I think, about episode 37, and I've created a book and also a Kindle version of the book, and it's available on Amazon. Now, as I've said to you before, I'm not into making money. This isn't why I do this, but there are inherent costs if you do actually produce a physical copy of a book. So I've obviously had to cover those costs, and there's just a little bit extra on top. And as far as the Kindle version is concerned, I'm going to try to make that as cheap as possible. I'm not sure how cheap I can make it, but very, very cheap anyway. Just a few things about when you put this podcast into book form. There were two ways I could have done it. Firstly, as I have done it, which is literally to take the podcast and to transcribe it and to punctuate it as well as I can, but to keep it roughly the same as you hear it. So it's a free flow, and it's a deliberate free flow of my speech. It's not the traditional book formatting. I have put chapters in which represent the episodes, and it does have page numbering, but that's all. I've kept it like you can pick it up and you can start the journey like I did from the beginning up to episode 37. I will produce the second book shortly, and that will take me from chapter 38 all the way up to roughly 68. So that's another book. And I was amazed just how many words I've spoken. The first book is already 500 and something pages, so that tells you how amazing all the stuff that's come through is. I hope you'll have a go at it. I'm not begging you to buy it or anything, but it's there if you want it. I'll put a link at the bottom of this episode so you can see. It should be available in all the different Amazons all over the world, and there you are. So I've done that now, so I can actually have a short break, because I've got another podcast that I've started, completely unrelated to the Talking to the Dead podcast, and it's something that I've wanted to do for 45 years, and it's obviously taking all my energies. If you're interested, that's basically a podcast about my early career, starting in 1980 to about 1984. And it's a completely different type of thing. It's my memoirs that I had written at the time, but always intended to do something with. My kids always said, "Come on, Dad, you've really got to do this, because, it's not only funny, it's great to have that record." And a lot of the people that I met in my career, all the famous people or the non-famous people, just the ordinary people, made it quite a funny bit of reading. Obviously, from the point of view of a 20-something guy in 1980. It's something I want to do. It's probably a bit of a vanity project. But again, I'll leave the link to the podcast for that. Now, I'm also going to turn that into a book as well. So I'm very busy. So you will forgive me if there isn't any Talking to the Dead podcast material for the next month or so. So that's it. Thank you very much. Have a lovely summer, and I look forward to being with you all again very, very soon. Bye.